What's up? I have a guest here that you guys may recognize the voice of. I'm trying to put him up on the screen here. There he is. Look at that. There he is.
Hey!
Hey,
How's it going?
Big Dan. There's a few of you here. So, okay, we're doing the thing. I don't know how long that you guys have been asking for because there's been a few people that have been on me on this. Why'd you bring Dan on a live stream, dude? Okay, so me and Dan, we're just gonna chat a little bit, and I'm gonna go through some of the news. I'm gonna try to multitask here. All right, but okay, so this is something I didn't notice up until now. 25 days ago, so supposedly for Dragon Age Dreadwolf, we're gonna have Mr. Zimmer. Some people might be unsure who that is, but
Oh, yeah.
the one who made the music for Dragon Age Inquisition, Trevor Morris, is supposedly not attached to Dragon Age Dreadwolf. But the thing is, he deleted this tweet super quickly. So this, you could almost say that this is sort of like a leak, sort of. But it seems to be that Hans Zimmer is attached to the project, which sounds amazing. I do think that Trevor did some great music, though. So
Yeah. I really enjoyed the music in Dragon Age Inquisition. I thought it was phenomenal. But obviously, like, Hans Zimmer's a legend. He's done music for all sorts of iconic films and whatnot. He's always made really good soundtracks. So I would be pretty excited to see Hans Zimmer working on Dragon Age as well. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of blah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like, that would be cool, but they don't say that there was. I think someone said that it might be possible that it might not be Hans. Right? It could mean Hans himself, but maybe it's Steve Jablonsky or Borislav Slavov. I guess those are like other composers in his team, in his studio. So it might be somebody else. But yeah, I would assume that it's got to be Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna kick off Dragon Age Dreadwolf to like. That's just insane. That if they were able to pay him for that, because I can't imagine that he's cheap. He's got to be expensive.
Oh no, yeah. He's worth the big bucks, you know.
Yeah. Oh, you're frozen. What's with this window, bro?
Yeah.
It's super weird. I'll have your voice instead. Everybody knows you're here. Zimmer is doing both Bethesda stuff and Bioware. No, I don't think Zimmer is on for Bethesda. Is he?
Yeah, I don't recall. Because they've actually put out a bunch of the tracks for Starfield already. I can't remember who's attached to that though.
Yeah, I think it's some other guy. What's his name again? It's also some European, I think. But it's not Hans Zimmer. But let's see, here's Trevor Morris. Okay, so it seems like he got a little angry here. Bailed on me for Mr. Zimmer. It's just the way you put it.
It's a little salty. Yeah, a little salty. It's like, oh yeah, they picked Hans Zimmer again. I mean, that guy probably loses out on work all the time to that guy. You know?
Yeah, for sure. But I think Trevor did a good job otherwise. So I'm gonna miss his take on it. But I would assume that Hans maybe does some spiritual successor type of music where he keeps some of the themes.
Yes.
Let's see here. Right, Steam-priserna in Sweden, so the Steam Awards. I don't know how to translate the page, but essentially, so here's the thing I want to bring up. So Cyberpunk 2077 won the Labor of Love category. And supposedly, people got so pissed that they started review bombing Cyberpunk on Steam.
Oh my god.
It wasn't such a huge thing. There was, there was like an increase in negative reviews when the awards got announced. And here we see a couple of comments.
It's funny because it's been 2 years since the launch of the game and people are still salty. People are still salty.
I mean, I guess, I think a lot of these comments are probably from people who wanted a game like No Man's Sky probably to win. Because I think they were nominated for that as well, and they worked really hard on it. But
Yeah.
I think Cyberpunk made a huge splash, and I think that's probably why they won it, because it got so much attention. I mean, people like
Yeah.
you and me started covering it again. There were
Yeah.
like people everywhere who wanted to dive into it and the series and whatnot.
Yes.
So yeah, they've done a lot, but labor of love, my ass.
Yeah.
Is that Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Dan. This is Big Dan.
Yeah,
If anybody is confused to who's speaking in the background, the window keeps freezing all the time, so I can't bring him up.
yeah. I'm a voice in the void at this point.
Okay, so let's see with some comments there. Oh, by the way, I just gotta. The thing is, me and Dan, we're supposed to talk a little bit about this YouTube situation, right? I don't know.
Right.
Like, because I made this video yesterday just because I felt like I needed to talk about it, about the age restrictions and whatnot. I've had 3 age restrictions on my channel so far.
Yeah.
2 of them is because of the Cyberpunk videos. Of course, I understand that because of the you know, the nature of the thumbnails. But they were essentially just experiments. I wanted to try and see if there was actually some truth to this, you know, using hot female V in your thumbnail, if that does better, and it did.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
YouTube
yeah,
noticed
it's like-
it, and they got pissed or something, and I was like,
Shepherd.
okay. But when it comes to other stuff, like swearing in your videos and stuff like that, that has me worried to hell and back.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, it's when I was making my Cyberpunk content, I was super conservative to the point where I started like bleeping out or cutting out the audio of swear words in the gameplay, which is something I've never done before.
Yeah.
And then even to the point of like blacking out the subtitles if there was swear words in the subtitles of the game. And people kind of like, some people were make fun of me in the comments for that. But my latest video got demonetized yesterday.
No way.
A couple of, with and the reasoning I was given for the demonetization was swearing in the first like 8 to 15 seconds of the video.
No way.
I did not swear, but there was a subtitle from Cyberpunk where Jackie says, "Oh,
Commander Shepard."
and it flashes on the screen for like half a second, and that's what got my video demonetized.
Are you?
So,
Jesus Christ.
so yeah. Thankfully, I mean, it's not age restricted, oddly, because the other times I've had videos age restricted and demonetized, but this one they just took the ad, they just said it's running limited ads, so it is odd. I don't know. I mean, that was the first time I had a video demonetized in like over a year, because I had been like, maybe back in 2021, I had 3 or 4 videos demonetized at random points and age restricted. Due to usually like swearing or like violent gameplay or like, I don't know, stuff like that. So I started being a little extra conservative because a lot of times they don't even give you a reason. Now
Yeah.
I think they're starting to get a little better, it seems like, with like citing the specific thing that
Okay.
flagged your thing. But the odd thing about my latest demonetization was it was actually manually reviewed, which I have no idea what triggered a manual review, but someone actually watched.
That's not real. I swear to God, that's not real.
Yeah,
That
I know.
cannot
they say, like,
be
this has
real.
Yeah.
That's what happened to another one, which I don't remember, but it was a while ago. But I sent the video back to YouTube and said, "Hey, this ain't okay." You like, you know, I replied that I didn't agree to the demonetization thing, and
Yeah.
they sent it back to me in like 5 minutes, and the video was 10 minutes long. Like, in the time it took for me to send it, it just came back again. Oh, we've manually reviewed the video, and we're blah. It's like, what the hell? You like, they're literally lying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of messed up on that part, so I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't know that they had done that. That's unfortunate.
I just found out about it last night. I didn't even get a notification or something. I was actually uploading another video and I noticed the little yellow $sign icon that said like limited ads. I was like, I don't what? When did
Kills
this
all
happen?
motivation, right? It just ruins the flow, because when you have like several videos going, like in a queue. Every time I have like several scripts written and I'm recording and
Yeah.
and something like this happens, it just kills all the motivation for doing it because you don't know if they're gonna do it again because you missed something. It's
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah. It's like we're always trying to walk on eggshells, trying to adhere to these vague guidelines and not knowing whether like some algorithm or AI is just gonna like flag a video out of nowhere.
Yeah.
The worst case I had was I had a video that was like monetized and on my channel for 8 months or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was a Fallout New Vegas video, and it kind of blew up randomly in the algorithm and got over 100,000 views, and then they age restricted it.
Right.
And I have no idea the specific reason why they age restricted it. And so I appealed it. My appeal was denied. So I ended up doing like a recut of the video and re-uploading it. But the re-upload has nowhere near the viewership that the original was. So the worst thing with the age restrictions is it just completely kills the viewership on the video. Like they just stop promoting it in the algorithm. Any video I've ever had that's been age restricted, which is only a handful of videos, maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Like they just like no one will ever, it'll never see the light of day again.
Yeah.
Which to me, it'd be one thing. It's like, okay, if a video gets demonetized, but it still can be viewed by people, that's less of a big deal to me because it's like, okay, I can just upload other videos and
that
make up for the hit.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, it's like when a video gets completely age restricted and then you're not going to make any money on it and nobody's going to see it. It's like, well, should I just delete this video off my channel? Like what's the point?
Yeah, and it doesn't really matter if you cut the video up in the YouTube tools because you have your YouTube tools. But even if you do that, they're still, they've literally said, I think, in the rules that they're not going to care about that.
Yeah, which is stupid.
Super
I'm
annoying.
looking at my re-upload of this video that I initially had got age restricted. It now has 43,000 views. And it initially had like over 110,000 or something like that. So it's just like,
that stings.
Damn.
Yeah, I feel you. So that's why we got to talk about memberships, because memberships is starting to become a thing. That's probably the best way to support channels. Like memberships is essentially what Twitch has as subscribers instead, right? That you get essentially you pay your favorite creator or you pay a subscription fee sort of, and you get access to emotes and maybe special perks and whatnot. And that's what I wanted to bring up because I brought it up yesterday because it is sort of becoming the most reliable way to support the creator, either that or Patreon. But I've noticed that most people don't really go to Patreon and other sites, and most people don't even go to Twitch. They stay on YouTube. So to make it easier for anybody who's on YouTube, memberships is probably the way to go. So if you guys want to, you can also go over to Big Dan if you have the ability to. You can also give him some memberships because it helps. It really does help. Okay, so let's see here. This is kind of weird. CD Projekt to settle Cyberpunk 2077 investor lawsuit for $1.85 million. Okay, so in case you probably knew this already, but yeah. So they were sued, or a suit was filed. I'm not sure if that's the same thing, back in 2020 December. And because the investors felt that they had been misled. So essentially they settled on almost $2 million for what happened.
Yeah. Which is not a lot considering they sold what, 20 million copies of the game?
Yeah, something like that. The total potential damages could be as high as 11 million, but yeah, 2 million is really not that much when you consider it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like I can't remember exactly how far their stock price plummeted during this whole time period, but yeah, I imagine if I had a lot of money invested into CDPR stock and this sort of stuff played down, I would want some money back too.
For sure.
but I don't own any CD Projekt Red stock, so I guess this doesn't really affect me.
Okay, Starfield's release date. We got a confirmation the other day through this Starfield Bethesda support page that it's still coming in the first half of 2023. So from now up until the last of June.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear. I'm still skeptical.
You're skeptical?
We'll see.
Yeah, I feel yeah. I mean, it's Bethesda, so
yeah. Well, I'm skeptical of the release window just because I feel like if they were truly prepared to actually deliver the game in the first half of this year, they probably would set a solid release date and be marketing it more.
Yeah.
But they're not doing that. So what does that mean for what's going on behind the scenes? I mean, I guess the first time they announced the release date, when they initially did the November 11th release date or whatever, they announced it like a year in advance. So I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. I know Todd Howard has said in interviews in the past that he would like to announce the game and have a release date as close to release as possible to kind of like capitalize off of people's like interest and excitement on the game. So Bethesda does work a little different than other studios in that regard. But I don't know. That just kind of worries me. It's like the game's been delayed once. They don't have a release date. They're still saying it's coming in the next 6 months.
Right.
5 or 6 months. But we don't know anything about it yet. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm still excited about the game. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm excited to have another space RPG because we don't have enough of them.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Sure. So I'm excited to play Starfield. I hope it's good. I hope it's polished enough at release. I hope it's because it's a Bethesda game. It's not going to be 100% super polished. I expect there will be some bugs and glitches, but hopefully it's not like Fallout 76 level. Hopefully it's just like, Skyrim or Fallout 4 level where it's like, yeah, there's some glitches and whatever, but there's no game breakers or, the game's still playable, but you might get launched to the moon by a giant or something, but it's funny, you know?
Yeah. I'm expecting just random catapult launches of spaceships. Like that's what I'm expecting right now.
Yeah, your ship just gets launched into orbit, but it's like hilarious or something like that, Like that'd be fine with me. But we'll see. I'm interested. It's probably going to be the biggest, RPG release of the year, and assuming it still comes out this year. So I'm certainly excited about it and excited to dive into it. But I don't know. I when they did the gameplay reveal last year, and they were talking about like the scope of the game, and Todd Howard started talking about there's going to be over 1,000 planets to explore. That made me think like, oh man, this is gonna be something else. I've been replaying Assassin's Creed Valhalla recently.
Ooh, right.
And I feel like that game's too big. And it's like you just explore like England in like it has like, I don't know, 12 territories in England or whatever, and there's a couple other places you can go.
Yeah.
So what's 1,000 planets gonna be like? What are they what's it populated with? Like, what do you do? Like, are you going to go and land on... Like, I feel like it's going to be really cool. There's going to be a honeymoon period with Starfield, I feel like, where you're going to go out, you're going to land on a new planet. It's going to be super exciting. You're like, whoa, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And then you're going to land on half a dozen more planets and realize they're all, like, either auto-generated quests or maybe there's no quests. And it's like maybe you just pick up some crafting materials and fight some procedurally generated enemies or something like that, and then I feel like that type of gameplay is going to get boring quickly.
It might
and
be.
So that's my concern with the game.
Right.
I don't know though. We'll see what happens. I'm just curious to see what they do with it. But I think as long as there's some like interesting factions and some quest lines and whatnot, that might not be a big concern. Like at the end of the day, it's like, sure, maybe the planet's exploration isn't as good. I just hope that there's a handful of like more handcrafted locations that they put more effort into, like maybe some like hub worlds and stuff that have more NPCs and more fleshed out like architecture and landscapes and stuff that they like put effort into. So we'll see.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the mods, to be honest. Somebody mentioned that in chat just now.
Yes.
Like imagine all the Mass Effect mods you can insert. Imagine having the Normandy, dude. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. That would be really cool. I that's one thing I will say with Bethesda games. They have like an incredible modding community, particularly around Skyrim and Fallout 4. I mean, the fact that there have been multiple, like basically full-blown games developed within Skyrim and Fallout 4 has been really impressive to see.
Full expansions even, yeah.
Yeah, full expansions. For what was it, like Enderal in Skyrim is like it's like a full game, basically, a full storyline.
There was something else I remembered, but I forgot about it.
Yeah. And then there's the team that they rebuilt New Vegas in Fallout 4, or they're working on that. And like the Sky Oblivion and stuff like that. So yeah, there's been some incredible projects that have come out of the modding community. So I imagine that as long as Starfield has enough of like if the base game is good enough, that'll develop a modding community around it.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. I do think that will be exciting to see how that develops over time.
Imagine somebody building an expansion, sort of like a Mass Effect expansion in Starfield before the next Mass Effect releases. That'd be hilarious. Somebody actually
that would be great.
A Mass Effect game.
Yeah.
Inside Starfield.
Exactly. Yeah. They put the Reapers in.
Every planet.
Yeah, the Reapers are back. Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of Starfield, Bethesda unionized 300 Bethesda workers. This is interesting. Some people might not be, recognize what this is in chat, but I think unionizing in the US is very it's not that common, right?
Yeah. I would say like the labor movement in the US has been not as strong in the last few decades. I think only like 12% of the workforce or something like that is unionized. So yeah, that's a pretty big deal whenever a union gets formed at any of these companies. It's pretty rare to see that happening, particularly in the games industry.
Right. Because the thing is, I've always found it odd that that the US does not have more stuff like unions, especially in the gaming world. But in Sweden, you have like unions everywhere. Yeah, like you can't have a company without a union.
Yeah, I think I think it's just become part of the culture in the US where everybody kind of focuses on their individual career and kind of like individually bargaining to like make advancements in their own career. There's not a culture of doing collective bargaining to try to raise everybody's wages or get everybody benefits. Like that just doesn't happen as much here.
Yeah. Unfortunate, to be honest. But it's cool that they actually did that. 300 employees at least.
Yeah. I would think it'd be good for the games, for game developers, because game development is very it seems like a very like an unstable job. Like a lot of these companies will, they hire on a bunch of people for a project, and then when the project's done, they kind of scale back. So yeah, it seems like it's a tough. Being a game developer is a tough job. I don't think I would want to do it.
Yeah, especially with all the crunch and whatnot you've been hearing about.
Yeah.
That was also one of the things that kind of ruined the development for Mass Effect Andromeda, if I remember correctly. Just a ton of crunch.
Yeah, I think that was, the culture of their game, their game development for a while was like, it'll all come together. We got that BioWare magic, like, it doesn't matter how chaotic a project is, like it'll all come together in the end. We'll get it all done. And it's like even Inquisition, a I think Inquisition like had a ton of crunch and people were getting really burnt out on that game
Yeah.
to the point where I remember reading one of Jason Schreier's articles, and they said that there were devs within BioWare who were hoping that Inquisition would fail so that the studio would wake up
Commander Shepard
to the fact that like this process wasn't working.
Yeah.
But then Inquisition won Game of the Year, so
they kept going.
They kept going, and then Andromeda and Anthem happened. So then they're like, okay. So we'll see what happens with that. I was just, while I had you with a captive audience, I was curious to ask, like, what games are you most excited about over the next, let's say, year or so? Like, I know probably Mass Effect and Dragon Age are a long way out, but I'm curious to see what you're excited to play this year.
I mean, Starfield I am excited for, but mainly, as I said before, like the mods, because I just want to see all the Mass Effect mods.
Yeah.
But then again,
exactly.
It's like as if we can trust Todd Howard on this, that it's basically Skyrim in space, then it's probably going to be great if they can just manage to remove most of the bugs and polish it. And then of course there is Dragon Age Dreadwolf. I still believe it will release sometime this year, but I think it's going to be like a holiday release for Dragon Age.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see them, maybe like doing a fuller gameplay reveal over the summer and then releasing it in the fall. I'm a little skeptical. I think it's more likely 2024, but it could release this year. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
I would be
absolutely.
excited for that.
The only thing I'm basing that on is because of the, I think I talked about this in a few other videos, because Jeff Grubb was the name, I think. Yeah, the guy who... what's the paper he's working for, or the magazine? He has a bunch of insiders, I think, and sources that have told him that they were aiming for like a holiday 2023 release or something. Or so, I don't remember exactly the details, but it was something along those lines. So I'm hoping to play Dragon Age Dreadwolf, because that little snippet of combat in the footage that we can see for Dragon Age Dreadwolf, where you see the character on the left and the shield and the sword. It's like, oh, this has reminded me so much about Mass Effect, and it reminded me so much about Mass Effect 3, especially because of the camera angle, and The Witcher Next Gen and God of War, like the camera angle and the action sort of angle. I love that. I really want to see how Dragon Age would work with that type of, I don't know if it's improved combat. I think the strategic nature would still be there, but just, that type of action.
Yeah, that would be exciting to see. I would love to see more of an action bent on that, with maybe like some like tactical options and pause and everything like the originals. But I like the direction they went in Inquisition to kind of make it has more of an action feel than the other games. So I would like to see more of that. But even going back to Inquisition now, like it feels a little clunky and outdated in a sense. Like in Inquisition, your character can't sprint, and they have like a default movement speed. It's fast, but it feels
slow.
It feels slow when you like don't have that option to sprint in the open world and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I hope they polish some of those aspects of the game, or of the next game, to make it feel more modern, I guess, more up to date.
Right. Yeah, I'm hoping they upgrade it as well with at least the combat part, because I've always felt like Dragon Age could have used a bit more, improved, especially after Dragon Age 2, when they started making the games more action heavy, action oriented. I felt like, they could improve this in so many ways.
Yeah. Did you watch the Dragon Age anime on Netflix?
I did, up until I haven't seen the last one yet. So okay. I was reacting to your video about it up until up until like the middle point. I was like, oh, there's too many spoilers. I gotta back out.
Shepard.
Yeah.
I couldn't keep watching it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's funny. I feel like they had the worst marketing for that. I was going back through like BioWare's Instagram page. I didn't even see any posts about the fact that they released an anime on Netflix. So I don't know how many people know about it.
Yeah, it's weird that they released it now and then they don't say anything about Dragon Age Dreadwolf. It's a weird marketing move.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. Like, if they were hoping to have some sort of boost to their franchise like CDPR has had with Witcher and Edge Runners,
yeah,
they didn't do a good job of it. So yeah, I don't know. It's bizarre because like with The Witcher, and I mean, I guess if Dragon Age Absolution had really popped off, I guess people maybe would have gone and played Inquisition or something. But it would have made more sense to have that come out when the game was coming out or something like that.
Yeah, just before a few weeks or something, because it's set in the country that Dreadwolf is supposed to go to. So it's too weird. I don't get it.
It's been, I don't know what they're doing over there, but yeah, I feel like the marketing has got to get better. I do wonder how far along that project is, because Dreadwolf and the Mass Effect games and stuff, because Bioware has just been, they haven't said much over the past year. I mean, I feel like they've put out little tidbits here and there, but I'm looking for more.
Yeah, somebody brought that up on my last stream, that it's almost like we know as much about the next Mass Effect as we know about Dreadwolf.
I know, yeah.
It's so weird. It's like, okay, on N7 Day, we gotta, I mean, it's not a bunch of stuff really, but the teasers were filled with hints,
Yes.
And sorry for missing that. Me and Dan was supposed to make a sort of stream or video about that, but I completely forgot that we had a set thing. I was doing something else at the same time. So sorry again, Dan.
No worries, man. No worries. It's all good.
But yeah, so it feels like we don't really know much about Dragon Age. I really, like, if somebody from Bioware sees this, can you guys please just
give us
something to talk about, because it's getting, if it's supposed to release this year, then of course it would be fun to start building towards it. I mean, of course, there is E3 and stuff like that, so they might just start off doing stuff then. But by then, I feel like they could have built up the hype even more to make people buy the game. Yeah,
I do wonder if a lot of these studios have gotten more skittish after what happened with Cyberpunk, because Cyberpunk had that, like, God, I mean, probably 4 straight years, 3 or 4 straight years of marketing, like heavy marketing, that kind of blew up in their face. So I wonder if a lot of the other studios are like, let's keep this quiet until we're like close.
Until we know that everything is good and well. What do you think about Casey Hudson's next game? As we talked about before, there needs to be more space RPGs. Are you looking forward to seeing what it is?
Yeah, I it's another one of those things where it's like, I'm excited he's working on a game. I don't know anything about it.
Nobody does.
I don't. Yeah, we don't know very much about it at this point. I mean, he forms a studio. He's hiring people. I see him, tweeting that he's like they're hiring more people for his new game studio and stuff. I think that's great. I'd be very excited to see what he puts together. If he could get a good team of people around him, and he might develop something that's really groundbreaking. I mean, I guess we'll see.
Mass Effect again.
Yeah, another Mass Effect. Yeah, another Mass Effect style. So we'll see. I'm excited to see what he does, but it's one of those things where it's like, that's probably several years out. I would guess.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll know more in the future, but I'm glad that he's doing that. I imagine that working for EA for 10 or 15 years probably just got creatively constraining, and he just was like, man, I want to do something different. But to do that, I need to form my own studio. Yeah. So it's exciting to see him doing something on that. But
yeah,
I guess
I
we'll
agree.
see.
I think that as well, that he wanted to be more creative and stuff. I think Kella said, honestly, it's good Bioware hasn't announced a release date until they're absolutely sure of Dreadwolf's release, so there isn't delays or crunch. Very true, though. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I guess I've become more impatient. anxious and impatient.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I've been thinking about this a lot lately about the kind of content model and release model for single player games, and how it's starting to feel a little outdated to have a release and then wait 5 years for the next game, where they have this kind of short window where it's like most single player RPGs, it's like they come out, they might have an expansion or two, and then the studio moves on. And then you don't see another game in that franchise for sometimes 10 years.
Yeah.
When it comes to like, Skyrim, or we're getting on to like it's almost 10 years for Dragon Age. And
Right.
I mean we're at like 8 years for The Witcher. So lately I've been playing Genshin Impact, which I know not everybody loves.
I haven't tried it yet.
They release new content like every month, and they have a big kind of like expansion with a new region every year. And I'm wondering, I mean, obviously their monetization model is different, and they make a lot more money from the gacha system and stuff, so they're able to support that kind of thing. So I understand that type of development model is not going to be realistic for a single player RPG.
Right.
But I also look at what like Ubisoft did with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, where they had 2 solid years of content that came out post-launch. And I just wonder, would it make more sense for these studios to have more post-launch content while they're working on the next games? And either, they could even be more paid expansions. Like I would happily pay for another expansion for The Witcher 3.
Oh, yeah.
Or these other games. I don't want to wait 10 years for the sequel.
Yeah.
For these it's too long to wait for something. And I understand development takes time, and I understand these studios have multiple franchises and stuff.
Yeah.
But I just wonder, is there a different way to do this without making a game, having like 1 or 2 expansions, and then dusting your hands for a decade until the next game comes out?
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't seem to be a good business model anymore.
Yeah.
And it leaves your fans who are excited about whatever franchise it is just wanting for forever, for seemingly ever,
Yeah, some people even stop expecting stuff, and some people even just jump off the hype train. There's a real possibility of losing fans when you don't actually keep the franchise alive, because between 7 to 10 years, that's a long time to wait for something to come out. By then you have children, you've married, you don't really have time for it anymore. So so I agree, like there should probably be a different model to do it, to keep the franchise alive and sort of keep the fans in the loop constantly. So I agree that the system is kind of old.
Yeah. And I wonder too, I mean, obviously part of the reason the development on these games takes so much time is they've changed they've gone in the direction of more technically demanding stuff in terms of animation and cutscenes and stuff. But most people who play these games don't really care about those things. It's not the most important things with the game.
Right.
And I do wonder if they were to cut some of that stuff out and just focus on core gameplay and storytelling and whatnot, would we get these games faster? Would they be able to, put out content faster that was still good, still high quality, but not, I don't know. I'm thinking out loud here, and I'm not a developer. I don't know, what's required to do this stuff. I just know, as someone who's playing video games and seeing how other studios are tackling content and post-launch support and having faster release cycles on some of these things. Yeah. It makes me wonder about, some of my, because most of my favorite franchises haven't released a new game in 8 to 10 years. Yeah. So I'm a little frustrated, I'm a little frustrated with that.
I feel yeah.
In the meantime, I guess if I need some kind of open world fix, I'm just playing Genshin Impact.
Right.
So this is what happens when Elder Scrolls 6 takes over 10 years to develop. You just start gambling for anime characters.
Yeah.
To cope.